And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. President Joe Biden is back in Wisconsin today, making a major economic announcement in Racine County.
The president announced a $3.3 billion investment by Microsoft to build a new artificial intelligence data center. Is expected to employ roughly 2,000 people. Our Jason Zimmerman was at the event. New at 4, he breaks down the impact this could have on the upcoming election.
This stop in Racine County comes with less than 6 months to go before the November election, and if he is to be reelected, the economy could be a deciding factor.
Hello, Wisconsin.
Touting his economic message, President Biden, along with the president of Microsoft, announced plans for a new AI data center to be built on property once reserved for Foxconn, which failed to deliver the 13,000 jobs the company promised, which Biden now blames on former President Donald Trump. This project by Microsoft is expected to employ 2,300 construction workers and then roughly 2,000 permanent positions, some of which will be trained through a partnership with an area technical college. During his speech, Biden took numerous shots at his predecessor regarding Foxconn.
In fact, he came here with your Senator Ron Johnson, literally holding a golden shovel, promising to build the 8th wonder of the world. Are you kidding me? Look what happened. They dug a hole with those golden shovels, and then they fell into it.
This will mark the president's 4th visit to Wisconsin since the beginning of the year and comes as the campaign prepares to unleash a $14 million ad buy targeting a diverse group of voters in key swing states like Wisconsin. Reporting in Racine County, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
And Jason, thanks. In response to President Biden's visit today, members of the Wisconsin GOP held a press call to discuss the president's announcement, and they say his policies have failed working families in the state.
The reason President Biden is here to hijack this awesome announcement for Wisconsin, for Racine, for the workers, the people that are going to be working in these data centers and doing the production, is because he's failing everywhere else. He's failing on inflation, the economy in general, the border security, everything else that has come up where people are siding with Republicans overwhelmingly.
He's coming here today to take credit for private sector work that began over 10 years ago. The new jobs in Racine County, that's a win for workers and is absolutely essential at a period of time of high inflation when families are falling further and further behind.
State Senator Bradley and Congressman Style, who you just heard from, also say President Biden is in Wisconsin today and repeatedly visits because he knows he is losing Badger State voters.